Chart 12. True Haunted Asylum Horror Stories to Terrify You. Story 1. The Haunting of Waverly Hills. Sanatorium Waverly Hills Sanatorium, located in Louisville, Kentucky, is infamous for its dark history. Originally built in 1910 to treat tuberculosis patients, the sanatorium became a place of misery and death as the disease spread. The building, with its eerie long hallways and decaying structure, was said to be the site of countless deaths during the tuberculosis epidemic. It wasn't long before reports of paranormal activity began to emerge. The most notorious ghost of Waverly Hills is that of a nurse who allegedly committed suicide after becoming overwhelmed by the horrors she witnessed. Visitors claim to see her figure moving down the hallways, hear her footsteps, or even feel her presence behind them. Some even report hearing disembodied voices, strange cold spots, and seeing ghostly figures peering from windows. The infamous body chute, which was used to transport the dead away from public view, is said to be a hotbed for paranormal activity. Some claim to hear the sounds of footsteps in the chute or see shadows moving in and out of its dark recesses. Story 2. The Ghostly Patients of the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, located in Weston, West Virginia, operated from 1864 to 1994 and became a notorious symbol of mistreatment in the mental health field. The asylum housed thousands of patients, many of whom were subjected to brutal treatments and neglect. The most chilling part of the asylum's history is the number of reported hauntings that seem to be connected to the suffering of the patients who never left. Visitors to the asylum claim to hear loud, anguished cries and whispers echoing through the dark hallways. In certain rooms, people have reported feeling icy cold winds and being touched by unseen hands. One of the most infamous spirits said to haunt the asylum is that of a female patient who passed away in the hospital's isolation room. Her apparition, clad in white, is said to appear at the top of the staircase, staring down at those brave enough to venture into her domain. Story 3. The Shadow People of the Hillview. Hillview Manor, an abandoned psychiatric facility located in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, is a hotspot for paranormal investigators and thrill seekers alike. The asylum's history is full of tragedy, overcrowding, inhumane treatments, and hundreds of deaths from diseases and neglect. As a result, many people believe the restless spirits of former patients continue to haunt the manor. One of the most unnerving phenomena at Hillview Manor is the sighting of shadow people, dark, shadowy figures that appear in the corners of rooms or move quickly through the building. These figures are often seen by visitors and staff members who report a feeling of being watched, followed, or even touched. Some say the shadow people are former patients who are still trapped in the asylum, unable to move on. Story 4. The Whispering Spirits of the Ohio State Reformatory. The Ohio State Reformatory, which once housed young men convicted of crimes, is now known as one of the most haunted locations in the United States. The prison, built in the late 1800s, is a sprawling Gothic structure that has witnessed countless atrocities and deaths during its years of operation. But the most chilling stories come from those who visit the old, decaying halls. Many report hearing whispers, footsteps, and the sounds of chains dragging across the floor, despite the fact that the building is long abandoned. Some claim to see shadowy figures moving through the hallways, and others have heard loud, echoing screams that seem to come from nowhere. It is said that many of the former inmates, still filled with anger and pain, have never left, and now haunt the prison in death. Story 5. The Lady in White at the Beechworth Asylum. Located in Beechworth, Australia, the Beechworth Asylum housed over 9,000 patients during its 128 years of operation. Known for its brutal treatments and high mortality rate, the asylum quickly became infamous for its many tragic and haunted stories. One of the most notorious spirits that haunts Beechworth is that of a woman in white. She is often seen wandering the hallways or standing by the windows, her face obscured by her long flowing hair. Some believe she was a patient who died during the asylum's darkest days, and now her spirit roams the building in search of peace. Visitors have reported hearing her footsteps echo behind them, or catching glimpses of her form through the windows as they walk past the asylum. Story 6. The sound of chains at the Penhurst Asylum, located in Spring City, Pennsylvania, has a long and dark history that includes reports of mistreatment and neglect of its patients. The asylum became notorious after its closure in 1987 due to overcrowding, abuse, and the discovery of horrific conditions. One of the most unsettling experiences that visitors report is hearing the sound of chains dragging along the ground. Some believe the sound is connected to a former patient who was restrained with chains in one of the building's many dark and narrow hallways. Others have claimed to hear the sounds of screaming and the doors slamming shut, as if the spirits of the past are still trapped within the asylum's walls. Story 7. The Laughing Ghost of the Ypsilanti Asylum. The Ypsilanti Asylum, located in Michigan, operated for over a century, treating patients with psychiatric disorders. The building was originally intended to be a sanctuary, but over time, it became a symbol of cruelty and neglect. Many patients were subjected to inhumane treatments, and countless deaths occurred under mysterious circumstances. One of the most chilling stories comes from the ghost of a woman who is often heard laughing through the halls of the abandoned asylum. Her laughter, a distorted, chilling sound, echoes in the darkness, sending chills down the spines of those brave enough to explore the building. Some believe the woman's laughter is a manifestation of the torment and insanity she endured during her time at the asylum. Others say she is still searching for her lost family, never finding peace. Story 8. The Ghosts of the Airedale. Mental hospital located in Ararat, Victoria, Australia, the Airedale Mental Hospital has a long and haunted history. The facility, which housed thousands of patients during its years of operation, is now abandoned, and many people claim it is one of the most haunted places in the country. One of the most disturbing experiences at Airedale is the sound of frantic voices and screams echoing through the empty halls. Some visitors have seen ghostly figures standing in the windows, their faces twisted in agony, while others report feeling a sudden chill as they walk through the dark corridors. Some even claim to have seen the apparitions of former patients, still wandering the halls, trapped in the same state of madness they once lived in. Story 9. The Bloody Handprints of the Ridges Asylum. The Ridges Asylum, located in Athens, Ohio, has a tragic history. Originally known as the Athens Lunatic Asylum, it became infamous for the overcrowding, abuse, and deaths that occurred during its years of operation. The most notorious part of the asylum story is the blood-stained handprints that are still found on the walls of the building. Many paranormal investigators and visitors to the site have reported seeing bloody handprints appear on the walls, often in rooms where tragic deaths occurred. The handprints are said to appear spontaneously, and no amount of cleaning will remove them. Some believe the handprints are the result of the desperate attempts of former patients trying to escape, while others believe they are a manifestation of the pain and suffering that still lingers in the building. Story 10. The Rattling Cages. At the Central State Hospital, the Central State Hospital in Milledgeville, Georgia, is one of the oldest psychiatric institutions in the country. It is also one of the most haunted. The asylum, which operated for over 150 years, housed thousands of patients who were subjected to cruel treatments and experiments. After it closed in the 1990s, the building was left abandoned, but the memories of the past seem to linger. One of the most chilling experiences comes from those who explore the old asylum and hear the sound of rattling cages. The cages, which were once used to restrain patients, are said to shake violently at night, accompanied by the sounds of angry voices. Some believe that the spirits of the patients who were once held in these cages are still trapped, trying to escape their torment. Story 11. The Haunted Halls of the Ashworth Asylum. The Ashworth Asylum, located in England, was home to thousands of patients over the years. The asylum, which had a history of overcrowding and mistreatment, is notorious for its dark and disturbing stories. Visitors report hearing strange noises in the old hallways, including faint whispering, dragging sounds, and the occasional scream. Some have seen shadowy figures lurking in the corners of the rooms, while others claim to feel an overwhelming sense of dread when they enter certain areas of the building. One of the most disturbing reports is that of a nurse who was allegedly murdered in the asylum, and her spirit is said to roam the halls, searching for her killer. Story 12. The lingering spirits of the Byberry Asylum. Byberry Asylum, located in Pennsylvania, has one of the most tragic and disturbing histories of all the psychiatric institutions in the U.S. The facility, which housed tens of thousands of patients, became notorious for its deplorable conditions, neglect, and mistreatment. The spirits of those who suffered there are said to still haunt the abandoned asylum. Visitors claim to hear disembodied voices calling their names, footsteps following them through the empty halls, and faint cries echoing from the rooms. Some say they have seen the ghostly figures of patients wandering the halls, trapped in the torment they endured in life. The most chilling encounters come from those who feel an invisible hand brush against their shoulder, or who are suddenly overcome by an overwhelming sense of dread. These true haunted asylum stories are more than just urban legends. They're terrifying accounts of places where the spirits of the past refuse to rest. Whether it's the restless souls of patients who never received proper care, or the ghosts of those who died under inhumane conditions, these asylums stand as haunting reminders of a darker time in history. Would you dare to step into one of these chilling locations, or would you, like many others, be too terrified to stay?